What in the actual holy hell was that?
So,
Well,
we watched Mad God. This is a horror anime. It's like a stop motion, like really grotesque horror, shock horror maybe.
I mean, right off the bat, this is probably the least accessible movie we've seen. This will probably be the one that is the most difficult to
I agree.
for us to sort of like wrap our minds around, because it is like it is. I mean, there's like no words.
Yeah.
It's just all visuals. It's like you said, it's a stop motion movie.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, like, if you were to ask me to summarize what happens, all I would be able to do is tell you
The sequence of events.
scenes.
Yeah, the sequence of events that we saw. But we're gonna look up kind of what the idea behind it was, because I'll try to summarize as best I can. Like you're there's really not a whole lot. At the very beginning, there's like this vision, or there's like a Bible verse talks about. There's a biblical reference, and there's like. Or was the scene there's a tower scene with lightning and thunder, people were cheering. And then it kind of like goes into this like this long, the descent took like what felt like 20 minutes. And a man walks out and is looking around and it's exploring this world. He keeps going down below. He gets to a spot, turns on this timer, and gets captured by a beast. The beast takes him to this place. There's a doctor. The doctor opens him up and like pulls all these weird things out, but also pulls out a baby. The baby kind of goes off. They're like, it's kind of an event. Like, they found a live baby in this man's body. Well, the guy also the doctor explores his brain, and you see imagery of like a map and like more soldiers being brought down, and like there was another part of that dream where you go, or his vision of the doctor inside his brain, and it becomes another guy being descended down to a place, and then he drives a car down this spiral. It sounds bizarre.
I mean, like I think. Yeah, go ahead.
But then anyways, like the baby kind of became this end goal for the it kind of became the end goal for like the movie. The baby was used to like perpetuate something. And in the end, it was like galaxy related. There's a lot of planets, so it was like a micro to macro perspective. I don't know what else. Okay, that's as best as I can summarize. Go ahead.
And most of the time when we do these, we try to summarize the movie and better understand. Like, this is, I think we just have to right off the bat say this is gonna be so different.
Yeah.
This movie, I think, is a movie that is designed for interpretation. It's designed to be very evocative. I don't think we're going to sit here and be like,
these are the
like, here's the methodical steps that it took. Here's the theme or whatever. Like, I think that this is so much more open to that that I think this is going to be already just very different. So I don't think, I guess. Okay, so let's start with like the visual. Like, how did you feel like the visuals of this movie?
It's very jarring. It's like it's supposed to be like, and I say stop motion. I'm not. It's not claymation, but it's like stop motion. But like it's very gross. It's like it intentionally aims to be industrial with like human industrial, and I say that like there are physical things like human bones, or like there's vomit, there's poop.
Yeah.
There's blood, like but it's like industrial. So like they're descending into different parts of.
I mean, they don't explicitly say anything, but they don't say or this could be hell. It seems like it's hell, but
very hellish.
I mean, I joked about this, and I don't know how many of these music videos you've seen, but like, this is like a Tool music video.
I mean, it does feel like there's
like imagine a Tool music video that was 90 minutes, had like a budget that was 20 times the budget of whatever they had for theirs, but it is like visceral. It is like it's so difficult to pin down what this movie is, but what it aims for in terms of its just like grotesque nature, it's spot on.
Yeah.
Like
it's does it better than any movie I've ever seen. That has like a similar feel, which granted, I've not seen a lot of movies that are like this. I'm trying to compare it. If I could compare it to any movie, I'd have to think about it. But yeah, it's unlike any, and it's a visual masterpiece. Like we were commenting throughout, like when things were happening, one scene where like, even like the difference between the size of things that they see, like some people are really small, and then there's like things that are just absurdly massive, like what an ant would see us as. But like the part that we were kind of both just like kind of like laughing to was the part where these like humanoid people were getting electrocuted, but they were like,
they're defecating.
They're just into a bin, and like or a funnel. Then the funnel becomes like a
tube,
what fills a press, right? It presses eventually into these like poop people, and you're just like kind of like, what the fuck? Like I'm not. It's very like what the type movie, but that alone was just like what you kind of knew from that point on. It was there's like no boundary.
I mean, the visual stuff that sticks out to me is like something I think is really interesting in this movie is that don't you feel like there's a lot of care and attention to you're seeing this world, but you're not just seeing the world. You're seeing how you're seeing the way that this world works.
There's a societal.
It's like it's almost like you're seeing the infrastructure of hell. Like you're seeing the way that, what does a day look like for people in this world? Like how do they traverse? How do they communicate? It is so bizarre to see not only these like scenes that are, as we've said, like pretty gross, but like you're seeing these things as pumps and as gears and as like machinery, and they're like they could be plausibly functional. It is which enhances the disturbingness in that it like feels more real. Yeah,
which it kind of goes to a different point, like the point of the movie. If you're ready to talk about that, but yeah, I it feels like you kind of get it, but you don't, because there are parts where like. Maybe the guy was like the writer was like trying to just give you a sense of like, an experience of what hell is like. Well, okay, but then like there are certainly story-like elements to this that I didn't fully understand. Like I don't know what the whole point behind everything that was like specifically shown felt like. I don't think I got it maybe as much as I would have liked, but I'm interested to see what you thought the whole thing was about, or like the movie genre feels about it. Like what like the baby meant this, and like the alchemy part at the end was them trying to rescue them from Armageddon.
Well, I tell you what, before we get into like the point, which I think maybe is something we'll get to as we discuss like more of the. Like you were kind of talking about this. I kind of like this idea is like starting with, there are, I think, micro stories in this. So we laughed about this, but what do you make of them having clocks in hell? Yeah. What's the purpose? Like, why would you need a clock? Yeah. There's like, do you feel like there's some significance to that?
Yeah. I don't know. There is a significance that I'll kind of say I don't fully understand, because the first instance of a clock that you see is like, first of all, like the societal stuff, like there are working people, and I say people loosely, but they have like an agenda.
They have jobs.
They have an agenda. But then the fully like clock part that we get is like when this guy is carrying a briefcase down into a massive area of other briefcases. He sets a timer they're all full of dynamite, and he sets a timer to go off like in a minute or so. And that's kind of the first you get of the time element. Do I know what it means? Hell no.
And they also have like, I don't want to get too much into like, okay, well, what happens next and what happens next. But like at the point where the spelunker almost, he is rescued by a doctor, and you start seeing clocks on the wall. Like it's just like it's such a peculiar thing that you're in this depraved underground society that seemingly is like complete anarchy, but they have clocks. Like it just strikes me as very strange. But there are these little micro stories. Like there's this person who is going deeper and deeper into this world. There's the doctor and the nurse who is taking this infant and caring for it, and they seem to be almost in waiting, like trying to rescue or harvest people to find this child thing that they had found. Well, then there's like the sort of deformed creature who is almost like a shaman and like has this like mushroom house of people and he's like torturing them. It's like there's
oh, just hearing it, you say like it is like it sounds so ridiculous. I know,
It almost seems like little bubbles of tragedy and like
like we're just seeing small bits of it. Like the shaman part is kind of like it. It's like it gives you information about a character that you see whose point in the movie is so like not even important, but it's like they're kind of like it's a storytelling element. They have this baby, the guy that he's talking about, like the shaman, has to dust off his old laboratory area because this rare event happened where they get a live baby out of this hell diver, and like that his part is like we don't need to know his backstory, right? Like he goes through that whole area where like there's two monkeys fighting, right? And you're like that is it's just more like visual exposition. Like it's not important, but like they're showing you just like the rules of the land.
Well, and what I think is really interesting, and honestly what I think really works for this movie, is that you get thrown in and you're just sort of expected to just kind of wing it. Like it's almost like you see these creatures, and these creatures have probably been around for years and years and years, and you know, this is just what they do. This is how they act. They have people, and then it's so hard to pick one thing to focus on in this movie. The other thing is like, so going back to like the infrastructure is like, it's so peculiar because you see people with this is like a society that also has absolutely no rules. Like it's a society that is in absolute ruin and chaos, but there's also people who have, like you said, like jobs. They go to work, and as they work, you see the most deplorable of circumstances. Like they're doing slave labor.
Yeah.
Some of the materials that are flying through the air are like hitting them and killing them.
Yeah, like they're.
It's like think of the different parts of society in the world around us, and imagine if each one of them was like unbridled chaos, anarchy, means to an end kind of stuff, with no regard for human life, no care for human life. I honestly don't know what to make of this movie, other than like, if the world was just sort of, this is like what would happen if you just let entropy do whatever to society, like just the absolute ruin and fall of society.
Yeah, I think it's, and we were talking about the visuals a lot because that's like the only thing you really get in this movie is like the visuals in this are just so harrowing, and you know there's no filter, and like Aaron said, it's just like the most depraved, just, you know, but it all comes together in some way that we don't really know how to, you know, verbalize. It's hard to figure out if there's a meaning behind all of it, or if you're just supposed to be like, you know, this is like the worst place to be, you know. Okay, so before we started this episode,
there was a part of me that was like, maybe we should read Wikipedia to just make sure that we understand what happened. We didn't do that, which I actually think was
I'm glad we
probably
didn't.
the right call,
Yeah.
because I feel like it would have maybe colored the way that we had approached this in a way where it's like, no, I kind of want to go into this a little raw. But while we've been talking, I've just been kind of like glancing through Wikipedia, and it's literally doing what we're doing, which is like just simply explaining what we saw. Like, there was a scene where this happens. There's a scene where this happens. There's no sort of underlying, this person did this because they did it at the behest of this other person and for this goal. There is none of that. It is just a very literal A, then B, then C, then D happened.
I guess I'm just curious, like if we, you know, before I get to the why, like the music's good, like the audio, like the like honestly, God, just like the gross. I hate to call it gross. It's like such a bad word. But like the gross sounds that they use are like
They are gross.
Yeah, but like I feel like it just doesn't do. It's worse than gross. Like the way things look, like even right now, look at these like eyeballs, like it's shiny, but like the sounds of it, like things breathing and like inflating and or pumping now,
right?
And then, like there's like a splosh, like I mean, it just like it is very. I will say audio wise too. It's like that, but again, like Aaron said, there's no words.
Yeah.
So we don't know. They speak. There's some speaking of like alien tongues or something.
You know, like the way I would put it is, describing this world does absolutely no justice to it at all.
Yeah.
Because I think that like this movie does such a good job at visually convincing you that you are in this place. You know, you see it, and you don't just see it and are convinced based off of what you're seeing in terms of the stop motion effects, but also in just like the way it sounds, the mood, the lighting. Like, you feel like you are in this like rusty, gritty, dark, disgusting world. Yeah, and it is like, I mean, you say gross, and I get why you maybe are a little apprehensive to say it, because I feel like it's maybe
it doesn't do it just it's
right.
just
like it feels grotesque, a little reductive.
I don't know. It is just like,
but it is gross.
Like
yeah,
you said, like yeah, and that's, you can kind of maybe understand, like, I mean, even if you just see the cover or a trailer, which, you know, I didn't even do that, but I'm just curious as to like the whole idea of the why, I like, you know, I'm not saying I have to understand everything that goes on, but like to understand like the story, like why is this guy down here? Why does he go to a place to set a bomb, but he gets captured, and I guess it's the same guy. They pull this baby out of him. It's a rare event, and the doctor goes into his brain and like sees his memories. That's kind of the whole like subplot.
yeah.
And then, but like, it's kind of like the doctor was the guy, or whoever he's embodying views these like repeat descents of a character to accomplish a mission. So there's like that part, but then there's a part like where the baby gets, you know, mashed up into an iron ingot, or some ingot gets broken down into crystal powder, and thrown into thrown into some like dimensional area. Like, to me, it's just like there has to be a reason why.
I think
we need to understand. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
something.
I think that it was interesting because, like, as this movie was going on, we were just kind of, you know, chit chatting and talking about what we thought was happening. And this is the first movie where I feel like what I thought and what you thought were like pretty distant.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like, I don't think either one of us was right or wrong. I think that this is one of those movies it's I don't think is going to have a definitive right or wrong. I think it is. This is probably one of the first movies, certainly the most open to interpretation movie that we've seen.
I'm looking at this. We're looking at the scene where they're using like magnets or something, but those remind me of like the tablets that we saw at the end that were crashing into.
Yeah, I think that's what they are. Yeah,
I wonder if that's related.
But these magnets are helping send these like different building material things across the across the work site that these people are at, and as they fly in the air, they just they'll hit a person and just obliterate them.
Yeah.
And like people will fall into these grinders, and maybe this is the time to start talking about like our interpretations of this movie.
Sure.
Like, I don't think you were far off at the end when you were saying that this dust from this, like, we say child, but it was like this, I don't even know. It was like this gnarled sort of like
worm baby.
Yeah, worm creature. But as they ground that into this like almost glittery powder, you'd said that it was like the Big Bang, and I don't think that's far off. I think that it seemed like they were using that to create either a new world, a new universe, and it sort of succumbed to the same problems as this, right? Like they showed you that these two individuals went to some building and they had spray painted what looked like an anarchy symbol, and then they turned the bomb on, and then the bomb exploded, and these buildings started getting reduced into ash and debris, and in a way that seems very like just similar to the world that we've been looking at. I don't know, like to me, my interpretation of a movie like this is like, this is the fall of society when this sounds like such a like BS college-y sort of description, but like in a lot of ways it feels kind of like unbridled capitalism. Like like it seems like extremely industrious, like they are it is all about a means to the end.
They like take manipulation.
They take these people. They don't care about their lives in any way. They are like, if they are killed or maimed by the material that they're using, it doesn't matter because they're just simply a means to an end. But it is like the fullest decay of society. This is what it would be like if there was just no consideration. This is just sort of the absolute fallout. Like we had said that this was even kind of reminded us of fallout of human civilization. But that's how I see some of this. But I'm curious how you see this.
The two words, and you were saying it throughout too, was like the two words I think of. Like there's some hierarchy of like, and that's the kind of societal things they want you to understand and like think about. It's like hierarchy, like
it's like class. There is like classes.
It's like top to bottom, and then I think, and at the very top, like we were saying, is like cyclical. Like it's a cyclical thing. Like something's happening again and again and again, and it's whether they're trying to get out or get in or do whatever. I don't know, but like it's repeated because even at the end, like you see the doctor or this whatever look down at the soldier they're descending, which is exactly how it is at the beginning. You see this descension of a character into a land, and this is the land. And then at the very end, you just like it kind of repeats itself. So like, what's the overall goal? I don't get it, but like, there's like a hierarchy thing. That's a big theme. Like time is a theme. Rebirth, rejuvenation, maybe like with the baby, like that's involved, So like, it's cyclical. Like this is just how life is. And again, and it might include that unbridled capitalism. Like, but like, that's what I think of when I think of like, it sounds kind of funny, but I thought it'd be hilarious if you had like that typical like cartoony industrial music like throughout the whole thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like just like the just exactly like that is kind of like the idea I feel when I see this. It just feels like it does feel like that capitalism like turning point of the century type feel, and it feels like there's at the very bottom, they do things for a reason to get to the very top. Like, and that's this baby being, turned into stone and ground up and thrown into
oblivion. And creating new universes or whatever.
I don't know.
I do think that there's like a lot of like classism in this. Like a lot of like the strong and powerful dominate the weak for their benefit, or whether it be for like material benefit, for riches, whether it be for scientific benefit, or just for like cruelty. Like they're the sort of shaman character, like a lot of things that he does is just out of cruelty, out of just it is just a humorous thing for him to do. It is just an interesting thing. And it seems like a lot of this has to do with classism and the strongest of the bunch dominating the weak.
I think, I was just gonna say that because like I legit was just seeing, it's just like it's like you're programmed to just do what you do because like we just saw the scene where this guy's going down into a cellar and then he sees one of this like mundane poop people, I'll call them, but like I'm gonna say there's like probably millions to billions of them. You don't really see, but you see them all doing different jobs. Anyways, like the guy's gonna go in the hatch just because he goes in the hatch, and then the poop person looks at him like he probably has never seen this guy before, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And they know that this big monster is gonna come around the corner, and so the guy, this helmeted guy goes into the cellar to kind of get safe, and the poop person kind of reaches out like I'm gonna go with you, but then like he's like, I'm just gonna do what I always do. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so I think there's like some like the classism, but like there's also this like compulsion to continue to do the same thing again. Like these people keep going down there and they're gonna keep dying and dying and dying. The poop people are gonna live their life and be reborn into, you know, whatever type worker, you know, and then these people are gonna deliver this. They're gonna look for a baby. They're gonna look for this baby. It's their doctor, the doctor class, just looks for babies, and then their only job is to deliver. You know what I mean? So it's just like
there's no motivation for there's no concept of like general human goodness. Yeah. Like there's no motivation to assist anybody, to see anybody as equal, to work together as a society. Everybody is just effectively this cog in this overall like wheel. Yeah. I think it's, I mean, you know, we thought initially that maybe this is hell, and maybe it is, but I do think that there is, I think a lot of depictions of things like hell are like, it's just a bunch of people being tortured and there's like no purpose, there's no point. It is almost more unnerving to see that it is a depraved society that is running almost like a well-oiled machine. Yeah. Like it is almost more unnerving to see it that way, to see that there is the same sort of class system that keeps a place as depraved as this running and continuously moving ahead, like staying along this path of wherever it's going towards.
Yeah. And I think it kind of brings me to like the title of the film. Like, so is we talk about like mad God, is that who is the mad God? Like, is it the person above and in charge of all this anyways? Like, and is that why, is it like not alliteration, but is it like a reflection of God himself? Because they talk about in Leviticus, and I would have to know the context of that verse that they showed. Like, is that related to just like how hell is? And that's why is that why they talk about mad?
I don't know. I mean, like, I think a lot of this movie obviously is like open to interpretation. I think one interpretation could be that, you know, in these micro stories, there is a God of the individuals that they are overseeing or supervising or working with or whatever. And mad not necessarily being like vengeful or angry, but more of like drunk with power or drunk with sort of like just a lack of care. They just sort of are out to get whatever they can get on their own.
And then this part here, we're watching the part where that guy gets captured, like the soldier, we'll call him. And there's like a scene with a theater, and there is an audience watching him like die. And this is the part where they extract the baby. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's like scenes where like they do have actual human beings in there. It's not just stop motion, but it's just like there are so many parts of this movie that are just visually hard to just grasp.
Yeah.
And like sometimes your only reaction to some of these more ridiculous, like, what the hell is happening scenes is like, you kind of are laughing like, what is happening? What is
Yeah.
going on?
I do think you're right in that there's like this, like they are unbeknownst to the soldier, like this doctor is trying to assess, like, do they become impregnated walking through hell? I mean, that
I don't know.
because that would be my only explanation as to why this doctor has this, again, and now we're watching the scene where they're showing like probably thousands upon thousands of bodies of these soldiers that probably had missions before, but they're all like killed in various ways. Like that one just has a hole in his chest. Like I don't.
The other thing I'm not too sure about is like at the end of the movie, I mean, it seems like as we kind of discuss this further, it does seem like at the end, throwing that glitter into the void and it sort of creates this Big Bang effect. It creates this universe, and this universe ends up decaying and falls into like chaos and turmoil. And the thing I don't totally know, and I think they obviously leave this open for interpretation, is that the world that we spent the first half of the movie in? Or is that a new one? And what they're suggesting is that this is the reality of what happens to society over the course of history, is that it will eventually all crumble. It will all turn to pandemonium.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think time is another big element again here, but yeah, I mean, there's some there's some hierarchical type thing because there does towards the end of the movie they do show like humans spray painting anarchy. Like I kind of want to know what the connection is to like Earth, like our Earth, like our world. Like, is there a connection? Like, I feel like there is, and I just don't know where it is. Like
I mean, the closest thing is just I think the ending sequence of the bomb going off.
Yeah, like it's apocalyptical.
Yeah,
like just
I mean,
standard. Yeah.
What's weird is initially when that universe is created, you start seeing, you see more of these abstract sort of like liquid, like color liquid, sort of filling the screen and bubbling and stuff like that, almost like amorphous, ambiguous kind of stuff. And then you see like what looks like cell mitosis or something, and then eventually, as that kind of goes on and on and on, you see buildings being constructed. And then after the buildings are constructed, that's where you start seeing people that are going in, and you can hear sirens, and you see somebody draw the anarchy symbol, and then they put the bomb down. And like that to me is the closest like part of Earth. Is like, are they suggesting that in society, eventually, if it's left to its own devices, it will crumble into like it will spiral into the absolute farthest extreme of just decay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's one of those where like I would watch this again. Like I would watch it. I would pay attention to different details. Like here, you're just trying to understand the story, and I think we kind of get like what they're saying, but like we just can't get to the end point. But like, I would watch it again, even though it's like I said, grotesque, but like it's not. I mean, I'm pretty desensitized to pretty much a lot of stuff, but yeah, I would watch this again just to see if I could try to understand it a little bit better.
I think that I think this is. I mean, a lot of movies are like this, but I think this one in particular is a movie that you kind of just like, if you sit with it, it will keep coming back to you, and you'll keep like having new thoughts and ideas about it without having to like necessarily sit down and really consciously think of this. That's kind of how I felt whenever I saw Aniara, like, weeks and months later. It just kept coming back in my head. It just kept popping back up. And I feel like that's kind of what this movie will wind up doing for some folks. I mean, I'll straight up say that, like, while I enjoyed watching this and just kind of going in blind, this is far and away the least accessible movie that we watched.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know that most people are going to have the tolerance or the stomach to watch 90 minutes of this. So if you're not into it, I totally get it.
Yeah, I will say it's gonna hit probably a target type of audience viewer. Which is probably why I was never like it's not a theatrical movie. It's like, was it? I doubt it.
I would really doubt it. Yeah, I mean, in the credits they gave a special thanks shout out to a Mexican restaurant that they
really
went to. I feel like it's like. I feel like it was like very much an independent movie. Like, they were thinking like, I think at the end they said like no doggos or
that's
something.
Funny.
It seems like the kind of thing that you would put out there that was like a very personal project.
I wonder how much this movie cost to make too.
I mean,
it's very well done.
you can tell that like whoever made this has had a vision for a long time for this.
Yeah.
Like it just seems. Every detail seems very thoughtful. As grotesque as it is, it seems like it was just very conscious. The world feels very real, even though it's so wild. Like it feels very like thought out and real. And I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like
about
my guess. We're watching this part with the doctor and the baby, but I'm like, maybe he does impregnate these soldiers and like. For whatever reason, has to go down a certain... I don't get it. Never mind. I'm not even saying anything else.
It is... I don't know. I mean, I just don't... You know what the baby stuff really reminds me of? And I don't think you've seen this movie, but it really, really reminds me of... what's that David Lynch movie? Eraserhead. It really, really reminds me of, like, that is the vibe I get from it.
Yeah.
Anywho.
I have not seen that.
It's just...
But it is,
I don't know.
Symbolic.
I don't know what to think of this movie.
I'm interested to, like, look online and see, but... As for us, though, I think I don't. You have anything else to say? I'm done talking about it because it's you just watch it. If you can stomach a kind of movie like this, just watch it.
Yeah, it's out there. I mean, if you don't mind something that's out there and something that is like going to have no words at all, it's I don't know. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it makes you feel weird things. But I liked it. I really did like it. I think it's a good movie. All right. Well, check it out.
Yeah.